1420, one joy of so much anguish, one joy of so much anguish, sweet nature has for may shun it as I do despair or dear iniquity. Why birds, a summer morning before the quick of day should stab my ravished spirit with dirks of melody is part of an inquiry that will receive reply when flesh and spirit sunder in deaths immediately. 1421, such are the inlets of the mind, such are the inlets of the mind, his outlets, would you see ascend with me the eminence of immortality. 1422, summer has two beginnings, summer has two beginnings, beginning once in June, beginning in October affectingly again, without, perhaps, the riot but graphicer for grace, as finer is a going then a remaining face, departing then, forever. Forever, until May, forever is deciduous except to those who die. 1423, the fairest home I ever knew, the fairest home I ever knew was founded in an hour by parties also that I knew, a spider and a flower, immense of Mechlin and of flows. 1424, the gentian has a parched corolla, the gentian has a parched corolla, like azure dried, 'tis nature's buoyant juices beatified, without a vaunt or sheen, as casual as rain and as benign, when most is part, it comes, nor isolate it seems. Its bond its friend, to fill its fringed career and aid an aged year abundant end, its lot, where it forgot, this truth endear, fidelity is gain, creation is o'er. 1425, the inundation of the spring, the inundation of the spring enlarges every soul, it sweeps the tenement away but leaves the water whole, in which the soul at first estranged, seeks faintly for its shore but acclimated, pines no more for that peninsula. 1426, the pretty rain from those sweet eaves, the pretty rain from those sweet eaves, her unintending eyes, took her own heart, including ours, by innocent surprise, the wrestle in her simple throat to hold the feeling down that vanquished her, defeated feet, was fervor's sudden crown. 1427, to earn it by disdaining it. To earn it by disdaining it is fame's consummate fee. He loves what spurns him. Look behind, he is pursuing thee. So let us gather, every day, the aggregate of life's bouquet be honor and not shame. 1428, water makes many beds. Water makes many beds. For those averse to sleep. Its awful chamber open stands. Its curtains blandly sweep. Abhorrent is the rest. In undulating rooms, whose amplitude no end invades, whose axis never comes. 1429, we shun because we prize her face, we shun because we prize her facialist sight's ineffable disgrace our adoration stain. 1430, who never wanted, maddest joy, who never wanted, maddest joy remains to him unknown, the banquet of abstemiousness defaces that of wine, within its reach, though yet ungrasped desire's perfect goal, no nearer, lest the actual should disenthrall thy soul. 1431, with pinions of disdain, with pinions of disdain the soul can farther fly than any feather specified in ornithology, it wafts this sordid flesh beyond its dull control, and during its electric gale, the body is a soul, instructing by the same. How little work it be, to put off filaments like this for immortality. 1432, spurn the temerity, spurn the temerity, rashness of Calvary, gay where Gethsemane knew we of thee. 1433, how brittle are the piers. How brittle are the piers, on which our faith doth tread. No bridge below doth totter so. Yet none hath such a crowd. It is as old as God. Indeed, 'twas built by him. He sent his son to test the plank. And he pronounced it firm. 1434. Go not too near a house of rose. Go not too near a house of rose. The depredation of a breeze, or inundation of a dew, alarms its walls away. Nor try to tie the butterfly, nor climb the bars of ecstasy. In insecurity to lie is joy's ensuring quality. 1435, not that he goes, we love him more. Not that he goes, we love him more. Who led us while he stayed beyond earth's trafficking frontier. For what he moved, he made. 1436, than heaven more remote. Than heaven more remote. For heaven is the root. But these the flitted seed. More flown indeed. Than ones that never were. Or those that hide, and are. What madness, by their side. A vision to provide. Of future days. They cannot praise. My soul, to find them, come. They cannot call, they're dumb. Nor prove, nor woo. But that they have abode. Is absolute as God. An instant, too. 1437, a dew sufficed itself. A dew sufficed itself. And satisfied a leaf. And felt how vast a destiny. How trivial is life. The sun went out to work. The day went out to play. And not again that do be seen. By physiognomy. Whether by day abducted. Or emptied by the sun. Into the sea in passing. Eternally unknown. Attested to this day. That awful tragedy. By transports. Instability. And doomed celerity. 1438, behold this little bane, the boon of all alive, as common as it is unknown the name of it is love, to lack of it is woe, to own of it is wound, not elsewhere, if in paradise its tantamount be found. 1439, how ruthless are the gentle, how cruel are the kind, God broke his contract to his lamb to qualify the wind. 1440. The healed heart shows its shallow scar. The healed heart shows its shallow scar. With confidential moan. Not mended by mortality. Are fabrics truly torn? To go its convalescent way. So shameless is to see. More genuine were perfidy. Than such. Fidelity. 1441, these fevered days, to take them to the forest these fevered days, to take them to the forest where waters cool around the mosses crawl, and shade is all that devastates the stillness seems it sometimes this would be all. 1442, to mend each tattered faith there is a needle fair though no appearance indicate, 'tis threaded in the air, and though it do not wear as if it never tore is very comfortable indeed and spacious as before. 1443, a chilly peace infests the grass the sun respectful lies, not any trance of industry these shadows scrutinize, whose allies go no more astray for service or for glee, but all mankind deliver here. From whatsoever see. 1444, a little snow was here and there disseminated in her hair, since she and I had met and played decade had gathered to decade, but time had added not obtained impregnable the rose for summer too indelible. Too obdurate for snows. 1445. Death is the supple suitor. Death is the supple suitor. That wins at last. It is a stealthy wooing. Conducted first. By pallid innuendos. And dim approach. But brave at last with bugles. And a bisected coach. It bears away in triumph. To troth unknown. And kindred as responsive. As porcelain. 1446, his mind like fabrics of the East displayed to the despair of everyone but here and there an humble purchaser, for though his price was not of gold, more arduous there is, that one should comprehend the worth. Was all the price there was. 1447, how good his lava bed, to this laborious boy, who must be up to call the world and dressed the sleepy day. 1448, how soft a caterpillar steps, I find one on my hand from such a velvet world it comes such plushes at command its soundless travels just arrest my slow, terrestrial eye intent upon its own career. What use has it for me? 1449, I thought the train would never come, how slow the whistle sang, I don't believe a peevish bird so whimpered for the spring, I taught my heart 100 times precisely what to say. Provoking lover, when you came its treatise flew away to hide my strategy too late to wiser be too soon, for miseries so halcyon the happiness atone. 1450, the road was lit with moon and star, the road was lit with moon and star, the trees were bright and still, descried I, by the distant light a traveller on a hill, to magic perpendiculars ascending, though terrene. Unknown his shimmering ultimate, but he endorsed the sheen. 1451, whoever disenchants. Whoever disenchants a single human soul by failure of irreverence is guilty of the whole. As guileless as a bird, as graphic as a startle, the suggestion sinister things are not what they are. 1452, your thoughts don't have words every day, your thoughts don't have words every day, they come a single time like signal esoteric sips of the communion wine which, while you taste so native, seems so easy, so to be you cannot comprehend its price, nor its infrequency. 1453, a counterfeit, a plated person. A counterfeit, a plated person. I would not be. Whatever strata of iniquity my nature underlie. Truth is good health, and safety, and the sky, how meager, what an exile, is a lie. And vocal, when we die. 1454, those not live yet. Those not live yet. Who doubt to live again. Again, is of a twice. But this, is one. The ship beneath the draw. Aground, is he, death, so, the hyphen of the sea, deep is the schedule of the disk to be. Costumeless consciousness, that is he. 1455, opinion is a flitting thing, opinion is a flitting thing, but truth, outlasts the sun, if then we cannot own them both, possess the oldest one. 1456, so gay a flower. So gay a flower bereaves the mind, as if it were a woe. Is beauty an affliction, then, tradition ought to know. 1457, it stole along so stealthy, it stole along so stealthy, suspicion it was done was dim as to the wealthy beginning not to own. 1458, time's wily chargers will not wait, time's wily chargers will not wait at any gate but woes, but there, so gloat to hesitate they will not stir for blows. 1459, Belshazzar had a letter. Belshazzar had a letter. He never had but one. Belshazzar's correspondent. Concluded and begun. In that immortal copy. The conscience of us all can read without its glasses. On Revelation's wall. 1460, his cheek is his biographer, his cheek is his biographer, as long as he can blush perdition is opprobrium, past that, he sins in peace. 1461, Heavenly Father, take to thee, Heavenly Father, take to thee the supreme iniquity fashioned by thy candid hand in a moment contraband, though to trust us, seems to us more respectful, we are dust, we apologize to thee. For thine own duplicity. 1462, we knew not that we were to live, we knew not that we were to live, nor when, we are to die, our ignorance, our cuirass is, we wear mortality as lightly as an option gown till asked to take it off, by his intrusion, God is known. It is the same with life. 1463, a root of evanescence, a root of evanescence with a revolving wheel, a resonance of emerald, a rush of cochineal, and every blossom on the bush adjusts its tumbled head, the mail from Tunis, probably an easy morning's ride. 1464, one thing of it we borrow, one thing of it we borrow and promise to return, the booty and the sorrow its sweetness to have known, one thing of it we covet, the power to forget, the anguish of the avarice to phrase the dross of it. 1465, before you thought of spring, before you thought of spring except as a surmise you see, God bless his suddenness, a fellow in the skies of independent hues, a little weather-worn inspiriting habiliments of indigo and brown, with specimens of song. As if for you to choose, discretion in the interval with gay delays he goes to some superior tree without a single leaf and shouts for joy to nobody but his seraphic self. 1466, one of the ones that Midas touched, one of the ones that Midas touched who failed to touch us all was that confiding prodigal the reeling oriole, so drunk he disavows it with badinage divine, so dazzling we mistake him for an alighting mine. A pleader, a dissembler, an epicure, a thief, betimes an oratorio, an ecstasy in chief, the Jesuit of orchards he cheats as he enchants of an entire adder for his decamping wants, the splendor of a Burma the meteor of birds departing like a pageant. Of ballads and of bards, I never thought that Jason sought for any golden fleece, but then I am a rural man with thoughts that make for peace, but if there were a Jason, tradition bear with me behold his lost aggrandizement upon the apple tree. 1467, a little overflowing word that any, hearing, had inferred for ardor or for tears, though generations pass away, traditions ripen in decay as eloquent appears. 1468, a winged spark doth soar about, a winged spark doth soar about, I never met it near for lightning it is oft mistook when nights are hot and sere, its twinkling travels it pursues above the haunts of men, a speck of rapture, first perceived. By feeling it is gone, rekindled by some action quaint. 1469, if wrecked upon the shoal of thought. If wrecked upon the shoal of thought. How is it with the sea, the only vessel that is shunned is safe, simplicity. 1470, the sweets of pillage, can be known to no one but the thief, compassion for integrity is his divinest grief. 1471, their barricade against the sky. Their barricade against the sky. The martial trees withdraw. And with a flag at every turn. Their armies are no more, what russet halts in nature's march they indicate or cause an inference of Mexico. Effaces the surmise, recurrent to the after mind that massacre of air, the wound that was not wound nor scar but holidays of war. 1472, to see the summer sky is poetry, though never in a book it lie, true poems flee. 1473, we talked with each other about each other though neither of us spoke, we were listening to the seconds races and the hoofs of the clock, pausing in front of our palsied faces time compassion took. Arcs of reprieve he offered to us, Ararats, we took. 1474, estranged from beauty, none can be. Estranged from beauty, none can be. For beauty is infinity. And power to be finite ceased. Before identity was least. 1475, fame is the one that does not stay, its occupant must die or out of sight of estimate ascend incessantly, or be that most insolvent thing a lightning in the germ, electrical the embryo but we demand the flame. 1476, his voice decrepit was with joy, her words did totter so how old the news of love must Beto make lips elderly that pearled a moment since with glee, is it delight or woe, or terror, that do decorate this livid interview. 1477, how destitute is he? How destitute is he? Whose gold is firm? Who finds it every time? The small stale sum. When love with but a pence will so display. As is a disrespect to India. 1478, look back on time, with kindly eyes. Look back on time with kindly eyes. He doubtless did his best. How softly sinks his trembling sun in human nature's west. 1479, the devil, had he fidelity would be the best friend, because he has ability, but devils cannot mend, perfidy is the virtue that would but he resign the devil, without question were thoroughly divine. 1480, the fascinating chill that music leaves is earth's corroboration of ecstasy's impediment, 'tis rapture's germination in timid and tumultuous soil affine, estranging creature, to something upper wooing us. But not to our Creator. 1481, the way hope builds his house it is not with a sill, nor rafter, has that edifice but only pinnacle, abode in as supreme this superficies as if it were of ledges smit or mortised with the laws. 1482. 'Tis whiter than an Indian pipe. 'Tis whiter than an Indian pipe. 'Tis dimmer than a lace. No stature has it. Like a fog. When you approach the place. Nor any voice imply it here. Or intimate it there. A spirit, how doth it accost? What function hath the air? This limitless hyperbole each one of us shall be, 'tis drama, if hypothesis it be not tragedy. 1483, the robin is a Gabriel. The robin is a Gabriel in humble circumstances, his dress denotes him socially of transport's working classes, he has the punctuality of the New England farmer, the same oblique integrity a vista vastly warmer. A small but sturdy residence, a self-denying household, the guests of perspicacity are all that cross his threshold, as covert as a fugitive, cajoling consternation by ditties to the enemy and sylvan punctuation. 1484, we shall find the cube of the rainbow. We shall find the cube of the rainbow. Of that, there is no doubt. But the arc of a lover's conjecture eludes the finding out. 1485, love is done when love's begun. Love is done when love's begun. Sages say. But have sages known? Truth adjourn your boon. Without day. 1486, her spirit rose to such a height. Her spirit rose to such a height. Her countenance it did inflate. Like one that fed on all. More prudent to assault the dawn. Than merit the ethereal scorn that effervesced from her. 1487, the Saviour must have been a docile gentleman, to come so far so cold a day for little fellow men, the road to Bethlehem since he and I were boys was levelled, but for that, 'twould be a rugged billion miles. 1488, birthday of but a single pang that there are less to come, afflictive is the adjective but affluent the doom. 1489, a dimple in the tomb makes that ferocious room a home. 1490, the face in Evanescence Lane. The face in Evanescence Lane is more distinct than ours. And ours surrendered for its sake. As capsules are for flowers. Or is it the confiding sheen dissenting to enamor us of detriment divine? 1491, the road to paradise is plain. The road to paradise is plain. And holds scarce one. Not that it is not firm. But we presume. A dimpled road is more preferred. The bells of paradise are few. Not me, nor you. But unsuspected things. Minds have no wings. 1492, and with what body do they come? And with what body do they come? Then they do come, rejoice. What door, what hour, run, run, my soul. Illuminate the house. Body. Then real, a face and eyes. To know that it is them. Paul knew the man that knew the news, he passed through Bethlehem. 1493, could that sweet darkness where they dwell be once disclosed to us, the clamor for their loveliness would burst the loneliness. 1494, the competitions of the sky. The competitions of the sky. Corrodless ply. 1495, the thrill came slowly like a boom for centuries delayed its fitness growing like the flood in sumptuous solitude, the desolation only missed while rapture changed its dress. And stood arrayed before the change in ravished holiness. 1496, all that I doys in review to his enamoured Mindy know his eye where'er I ply is pushing close behind not any port nor any flight but he doth there preside what omnipresence lies in wait for her to be a bride. 1497, facts by our side are never sudden until they look around and then they scare us like a spectre protruding from the ground, the height of our portentous neighbor we never know, till summoned to his recognition. By an adieu for whence the sage cannot conjecture the bravest die as ignorant of their resumption as you or I. 1498, glass was the street, in tinsel peril glass was the street, in tinsel peril tree and traveller stood, filled was the air with merry venture hardy with boys the road, shot the lithe sleds like shod vibrations emphasized and gone. It is the past supreme italic makes this present mean. 1499, how firm eternity must look to crumbling men like meth only adamant estate in all identity, how mighty to the insecure thy physiognomy to whom not any face cohere, unless concealed in thee. 1500, it came his turn to beg, it came his turn to beg, the begging for the life is different from another alms his penury in chief, I scanned his narrow realm I gave him leave to live lest gratitude revive the snake though smuggled his reprieve. 1501, its little ether hood. Its little ether hood doth sit upon its head. The millinery supple of the sagacious god. Till when it slip away. A nothing at a time. And Dandelion's drama expires in a stem. 1502, I saw the wind within her I saw the wind within her I knew it blew for me, but she must buy my shelter I asked humility. 1503, more than the grave is closed to me, more than the grave is closed to me, the grave and that eternity to which the grave adheres, I cling to nowhere till I fall, the crash of nothing, yet of all, how similar appears. 1504, of whom so dear the name to hear illumines with a glow as intimate, as fugitive as sunset on the snow. 1505, she could not live upon the past she could not live upon the past the present did not know her and so she sought this sweet at last and nature gently owned her the mother that has not a knell for either duke or robin. 1506, summer is shorter than any one, summer is shorter than any one, life is shorter than summer, 70 years is spent as quick as an only dollar, sorrow, now, is polite, and stays, see how well we spurn him, equally to abhor delight. Equally retain him. 1507, the pile of years is not so high the pile of years is not so high as when you came before but it is rising every day from recollection's floor and while by standing on my heart I still can reach the top efface the mountain with your face. And catch me ere I drop. 1508, you cannot make remembrance grow you cannot make remembrance grow when it has lost its root, the tightening the soil around and setting it upright deceives perhaps the universe but not retrieves the plant, real memory, like cedar feet. Is shod with adamant, nor can you cut remembrance down when it shall once have grown, its iron buds will sprout anew however overthrown. 1509, mine enemy is growing old, mine enemy is growing old, I have at last revenge, the palate of the hate departs, if any would avenge let him be quick, the viand flits, it is a fated meat, anger as soon as fed is dead. 'Tis starving makes it fat. 1510, how happy is the little stone how happy is the little stone that rambles in the road alone and doesn't care about careers and exigencies never fears, whose coat of elemental brown a passing universe put on and independent as the sun. Associates or glows alone, fulfilling absolute decree in casual simplicity. 1511, my country need not change her gown. My country need not change her gown. Her triple suit as sweet as when 'twas cut at Lexington, and first pronounced a fit. Great Britain disapproves, the stars. Disparagement discreet. There's something in their attitude that taunts her bayonet. 1512, all things swept soul away all things swept soul away this, is immensity. 1513, go traveling with us. Go traveling with us. Her travels daily BB routes of ecstasy to evening sea. 1514, an antiquated tree. An antiquated tree is cherished of the crow. Because that junior foliage is disrespectful now to venerable birds, whose corporation coat would decorate oblivion's remotest consulate. 1515. The things that never can come back, are several. The things that never can come back are several. Childhood, some forms of hope, the dead. Though joys, like men, may sometimes make a journey and still abide. We do not mourn for traveler, or sailor. Their roots are fair. But think enlarged of all that they will tell us. Returning here. Here. There are typic, hayrace, foretold locations, the spirit does not stand, himself, at whatsoever fathom his native land. 1516, no autumn's intercepting chill. No autumn's intercepting chill appalls this tropic breast. But African exuberance. An Asiatic rest. 1517, how much of source escapes with thee? How much of source escapes with thee? How chief thy sessions be? For thou hast borne a universe entirely away. 1518, not seeing, still we know. Not seeing, still we know. Not knowing, guess. Not guessing, smile and hide. And half caress. And quake, and turn away. Seraphic fear is Eden's innuendo. If you dare. 1519, the dandelion's pallid tube. The dandelion's pallid tube astonishes the grass. And winter instantly becomes an infinite alas. The tube uplifts a signal bud. And then a shouting flower. The proclamation of the suns. That sepulture is o'er. 1520, the stem of a departed flower. The stem of a departed flower has still a silent rank. The bearer from an emerald court. Of a dispatch of pink. 1521, the butterfly upon the sky, the butterfly upon the sky, that doesn't know its name and hasn't any tax to pay and hasn't any home is just as high as you and I, and higher, I believe, so soar away and never sigh, and that's the way to grieve. 1522, his little hearse-like figure unto itself a dirge to a delusive lilac, the vanity divulge of industry and morals and every righteous thing for the divine perdition of idleness and spring. 1523, we never know we go when we are going, we never know we go when we are going, we jest and shut the door, fate, following, behind us bolts it, and we accost no more. 1524, a faded boy, in sallow clothes, a faded boy, in sallow clothes, who drove a lonesome cow to pastures of oblivion, a statesman's embryo, the boys that whistled are extinct, the cows that fed and thanked remanded to a ballad's barn. Or Clover's retrospect. 1525, he lived the life of ambush, and went the way of dusk, and now against his subtle name there stands an asterisk, as confident of him as we, impregnable we are, the whole of immortality entrenched within a star. 1526, his oriental heresies exhilarate the bee, and filling all the earth and air with gay apostasy, fatigued at last, a clover plain allures his jaded eye, that lowly breast where butterflies have felt it meet to die. 1527, oh give it motion, deck it sweet, oh give it motion, deck it sweet with artery and vein, upon its fastened lips lay words, affiance it again to that pink stranger we call dust, acquainted more with that than with this horizontal one. That will not lift its hat. 1528, the moon upon her fluent route, defiant of a road, the stars Etruscan argument substantiate a god, if aims impel these astral ones, the ones allowed to know that which makes them as forgot. As dawn forgets them, now. 1529, 'tis season since the dimpled war, in which we each were conqueror and each of us were slain in centuries, 'twill be more another massacre before so modest and so vain, without a formula we fought. Each was to each the pink redoubt. 1530, a pang is more conspicuous in spring, in contrast with the things that sing not birds entirely, but minds, minute effulgencies and winds, when what they sung for is undone, who cares about a bluebird's tune? Why, resurrection had to wait till they had moved a stone. 1531, above oblivion's tide there is a pier, and an effaceless, few, are lifted there, nay, lift themselves, fame has no arms, and but one smile, that meagre bombs. 1532, from all the jails the boys and girls ecstatically leap, beloved only afternoon that prison doesn't keep, they storm the earth and stun the air, mob of solid bliss, alas, that frowns should lie in wait for such a foe as this. 1533, on that specific pillow, our projects flit away. The night's tremendous morrow, and whether sleep will stay, or usher us, a stranger, to situations new. The effort to comprise it is all the soul can do. 1534, society for me my misery society for me my misery since gift of thee. 1535, the life that tied too tight escapes the life that tied too tight escapes will ever after run with a prudential look behind inspectors of the rain, the horse that scents the living grass and sees the pasture's smile will be retaken with a shot. If he is caught at all. 1536, there comes a warning like a spy there comes a warning like a spy a shorter breath of dia stealing that is not a stealth and summers are away. 1537, candor, my tepid friend, candor, my tepid friend, come not to play with me, the myrrhs, and mochas, of the mind are its iniquity. 1538, follow wise Orion till you waste your eye, dazzlingly decamping he is just as high. 1539, now I lay thee down to sleep, now I lay thee down to sleep, I pray the Lord thy dust to keep, and if thou live before thou wake, I pray the Lord thy soul to make. 1540. As imperceptibly as grief. As imperceptibly as grief. The summer lapsed away. Too imperceptible at last. To seem like perfidy. A quietness distilled. As twilight long begun. Or nature spending with herself. Sequestered afternoon. The dusk drew earlier in. The morning foreign shone. A courteous, yet harrowing grace. As guest, that would be gone. And thus. Without a wing. Or service of a keel. Our summer made her light escape. Into the beautiful. 1541, no matter where the saints abide. No matter where the saints abide. They make their circuit fair. Behold how great a firmament. Accompanies a star. 1542, come show thy Durham breast to her who loves thee best, delicious robin, and if it be not meet least within my tree do thee avowing, thy nuptials so minute perhaps is more astute than vaster suing, for so to soar away. Is our propensity the day ensuing. 1543, obtaining but our own extent in whatsoever realm, 'twas Christ's own personal expanse that bore him from the tomb. 1544, who has not found the heaven, below, who has not found the heaven, below, will fail of it above, for angels rent the house next ours, wherever we remove. 1545, the Bible is an antique volume, written by fated men at the suggestion of holy spectres, subjects, Bethlehem, Eden, the ancient homestead, Satan, the brigadier, Judas, the great defaulter. David, the troubadour, sin, a distinguished precipice others must resist, boys that, believe, are very lonesome, other boys are, lost, had but the tale a warbling teller, all the boys would come, Orpheus' sermon captivated, it did not condemn. 1546, sweet pirate of the heart. Sweet pirate of the heart. Not pirate of the sea. What wrecketh thee? Some spice's mutiny. Some adder's perfidy. Confide in me. 1547, hope is a subtle glutton, he feeds upon the fair, and yet, inspect it closely what abstinence is there, his is the halcyon table, that never seats but one, and whatsoever is consumed the same amount remain. 1548, meeting by accident, we hovered by design, as often as a century in error so divine is ratified by destiny, but destiny is old and economical of bliss as Midas is of gold. 1549, my wars are laid away in books, I have one battle more, a foe whom I have never seen but oft has scanned me o'er, and hesitated me between and others at my side but chose the best, neglecting me, till all the rest have died. How sweet if I am not forgot by chums that passed away, since playmates at 70 are such a scarcity. 1550, the pattern of the sun can fit but him alone for sheen must have a disk to be a sun. 1551, those, dying then, knew where they went to God's right hand, that hand is amputated now and God cannot be found, the abdication of belief makes the behavior small, better an ignis fatuus than no illum at all. 1552, Within thy grave. Within thy grave, oh no, but on some other flight, thou only camest to mankind to rend it with good night. 1553, Bliss is the plaything of the child, bliss is the plaything of the child, the secret of the man's sacred stealth of boy and girl rebuke it if we can. 1554, Go tell it, what a message. Go tell it, what a message. To whom, is specified. Not murmur, not endearment. But simply, we, obeyed. Obeyed, allure, a longing, O nature, none of this, to law, said sweet Thermopylae. I give my dying kiss. 1555, I groped for him before I knew I groped for him before I knew with solemn nameless need all other bounty sudden chaff for this foreshadowed food which others taste and spurn and sneer, though I within suppose that consecrated it could be. The only food that grows. 1556, Image of light, adieu, image of light, adieu, thanks for the interview, so long, so short, preceptor of the whole, coeval cardinal, impart, depart. 1557, Lives he in any other world lives he in any other world my faith cannot reply before it was imperative 'twas all distinct to me. 1558, Of death I try to think like this, of death I try to think like this, the well in which they lay useless but the likeness of the brook that menaced not to slay us but to invite by that dismay which is the zest of sweetness. To the same flower Hesperian, decoying but to greet us, I do remember when a child with bolder playmate straying to where a brook that seemed a sea withheld us by its roaring from just the purple flower beyond until constrained to clutch it. If doom itself were the result, the boldest leaped, and clutched it. 1559, Tried always and condemned by thee tried always and condemned by thee permit me this reprieve that dying I may earn the look for which I cease to live. 1560, To be forgot by thee surpasses memory of other minds the heart cannot forget unless it contemplate what it declines I was regarded then raised from oblivion a single time to be remembered what, worthy to be forgot is my renown. 1561, No brigadier throughout the year so civic as the J, a neighbor no warrior too with shrill felicity pursuing winds that censure USA February day the brother of the universe was never blown away. The snow and he are intimate, I've often seen them play when heaven looked upon us all with such severity I felt apology were due to an insulted sky whose pompous frown was nutriment to their temerity, the pillow of this daring head is pungent evergreens. His larder, terse and militant, unknown, refreshing things, his character, a tonic, his future, a dispute, unfair and immortality that leaves this neighbor out. 1562, Her losses make our gains ashamed. Her losses make our gains ashamed. She bore life's empty pack as gallantly as if the East were swinging at her back. Life's empty pack is heaviest, as every porter knows. In vain to punish honey, it only sweeter grows. 1563, By homely gift and hindered words the human heart is told of nothing, nothing is the force that renovates the world. 1564, Pass to thy rendezvous of light. Pass to thy rendezvous of light. Hangless except for us, who slowly for the mystery which thou hast leaped across. 1565, Some arrows slay but whom they strike, some arrows slay but whom they strike, but this slew all but him, who so apparelled his escape, too trackless for a tomb. 1566, Climbing to reach the costly hearts to which he gave the worth, he broke them, fearing punishment he ran away from earth. 1567, The heart has many doors, I can but knock, for any sweet, come in, impelled to hark, not saddened by repulse repast to me that somewhere, there exists, supremacy. 1568, To see her is a picture. To see her is a picture. To hear her is a tune. To know her an intemperance, as innocent as June. To know her not, affliction. To own her for a friend, a warmth as near as if the sun were shining in your hand. 1569, the clock strikes one that just struck two, the clock strikes one that just struck two, some schism in the sum, a vagabond for Genesis has wrecked the pendulum. 1570, forever honored by the tree. Forever honored by the tree. Whose apple winter worn? Enticed to breakfast from the sky. Two Gabriels yestermorn. They registered in nature's book. As robins, sire and son. But angels have that modest way. To screen them from renown. 1571, how slow the wind. How slow the wind. How slow the sea. How late their feathers be. 1572, we wear our sober dresses when we die, we wear our sober dresses when we die, but summer, frilled as for a holiday adjourns her sigh. 1573, to the bright east she flies. To the bright east she flies. Brothers of paradise. Remit her home. Without a change of wings. Or love's convenient things. Enticed to come. Fashioning what she is. Fathoming what she was. We deem we dream. And that dissolves the days. Through which existence strays. Homeless at home. 1574, no ladder needs the bird but skies. No ladder needs the bird but skies. To situate its wings. Nor any leader's grim baton. Arraigns it as it sings. The implements of bliss are few. As Jesus says of him. Come unto me, the moiety. That wafts the cherubim. 1575, the bat is done, with wrinkled wings. The bat is done, with wrinkled wings. Like fallow article. And not a song pervade his lips. Or none perceptible. His small umbrella quaintly halved. Describing in the air. An arc alike inscrutable. Elate philosopher deputed from what firmament, of what astute abode, empowered with what malignity auspiciously withheld, to his adroit creator. Ascribe no less the praise, beneficent, believe me, his eccentricities. 1576. The spirit lasts, but in what mode? The spirit lasts, but in what mode? Below, the body speaks. But as the spirit furnishes. Apart, it never talks. The music in the violin does not emerge alone. But arm in arm with touch. Yet touch alone is not a tune. The spirit lurks within the flesh. Like tides within the sea. That make the water live, estranged. What would the ether be? Does that know, now, or does it cease? That which to this is done. Resuming at a mutual date. With every future one, instinct pursues the adamant, exacting this reply, adversity if it may be, or wild prosperity. The rumor's gate was shut so tight. Before my mind was sown, not even a prognostic's push could make a dent thereon. 1577, morning is due to all. Morning is due to all. To some, the night. To an imperial few. The auroral light. 1578, blossoms will run away. Blossoms will run away. Cakes rain but a day. But memory like melody. Is pink eternally. 1579, it would not know if it were spurned. It would not know if it were spurned. This gallant little flower. How therefore safe to be a flower? If one would tamper there. To enter, it would not aspire. But may it not despair. That it is not a cavalier. To dare and perish there. 1580, we shun it ere it comes. We shun it ere it comes. Afraid of joy. Then sue it to delay. And lest it fly. Beguile it more and more. May not this be? Old suitor heaven. Like our dismay at thee. 1581, the farthest thunder that I heard was nearer than the Skyan rumbles still, though torrid noons have lain their missiles by, the lightning that preceded it struck no one but myself. But I would not exchange the bolt for all the rest of life. Indebtedness to oxygen the happy may repay but not the obligation to electricity. It founds the homes and decks the days and every clamor bright is but the gleam concomitant of that waylaying light. The thought is quiet as a flake, a crash without a sound. How life's reverberation its explanation found. 1582, where roses would not dare to go, where roses would not dare to go, what heart would risk the way, and so I send my crimson scouts to sound the enemy. 1583, witchcraft was hung, in history, witchcraft was hung, in history, but history and I find all the witchcraft that we need around us, every day. 1584. Expanse cannot be lost. Expanse cannot be lost. Not joy, but a decree. Is deity. His scene, infinity. Whose rumor's gate was shut so tight. Before my beam was sown. Not even a prognostic's push could make a dent thereon. The world that thou hast opened shuts for thee. But not alone. We all have followed thee. Escape more slowly. To thy tracks of sheen. The tent is listening. But the troops are gone. 1585, the bird her punctual music brings, the bird her punctual music brings and lays it in its place is in the human heart and in the heavenly grace. What respite from her thrilling toil did beauty ever take, but work might be electric rest. To those that magic make. 1586, to her derided home a weed of summer came, she did not know her station Launer ignominies name, bestowed a summer long upon a frameless flower, then swept as lightly from disdain as lady from her bower. Of bliss the codes are few, as Jesus cites of him, come unto me the moiety that wafts the seraphim. 1587, he ate and drank the precious words, he ate and drank the precious words, his spirit grew robust, he knew no more that he was poor, or that his frame was dust, he danced along the dingy days and this bequest of wings was but a book, what liberty a loosened spirit brings. 1588, this me, that walks and works, must die, this me, that walks and works, must die, some fair or stormy day, adversity if it may be or wild prosperity the rumor's gate was shut so tight before my mind was born not even a prognostic's push can make a dent thereon. 1589, cosmopolites without a plea cosmopolites without a plea alight in every land the compliments of paradise from those within my hand their dappled journey to themselves a compensation fair knock and it shall be opened is their theology. 1590, not at home to callers not at home to callers says the naked tree, bonnet due in April, wishing you good day. 1591, the bobolink is gone, the bobolink is gone, the rowdy of the meadow, and no one swaggers now but me, the Presbyterian birds can now resume the meeting he boldly interrupted that overflowing day when supplicating mercy in a portentous way. He swung upon the Decalogue and shouted let us pray. 1592, the lassitudes of contemplation beget a force they are the spirit's still vacation that him refresh, the dreams consolidate in action, what metal fair. 1593. There came a wind like a bugle. There came a wind like a bugle. It quivered through the grass. And a green chill upon the heat. So ominous did pass. We barred the windows and the doors. As from an emerald ghost. The doom's electric moccasin. That very instant passed. On a strange mob of panting trees. And fences fled away. And rivers where the houses ran. Those looked that lived, that day. The bell within the steeple wild. The flying tidings told. How much can come. And much can go. And yet abide the world. 1594, immured in heaven. Immured in heaven. What a cell. Let every bondage be. Thou sweetest of the universe. Like that which ravished thee. 1595, declaiming waters none may dread, declaiming waters none may dread, but waters that are still are so for that most fatal cause in nature, they are full. 1596, few, yet enough. Few, yet enough. Enough is one. To that ethereal throng. Have not each one of us the right to stealthily belong? 1597, 'tis not the swaying frame we miss, 'tis not the swaying frame we miss, it is the steadfast heart that had it beat 1,000 years, with love alone had bent its fervor the electric oar that bore it through the tomb. Ourselves, denied the privilege, consolously presume. 1598, who is it seeks my pillow nights, who is it seeks my pillow nights, with plain inspecting face, did you, or did you not, to ask, 'tis conscience, childhood's nurse, with martial hand she strokes the hair upon my wincing head. All rogues shall have their part in, what, the phosphorus of God. 1599, though the great waters sleep, though the great waters sleep, that they are still the deep we cannot doubt, no vacillating God ignited this abode to put it out. 1600, upon his saddle sprung a bird upon his saddle sprung a bird and crossed 1,000 trees before a fence without a fare his fantasy did please and then he lifted up his throat and squandered such a note a universe that overheard. Is stricken by it yet. 1601. Of God we ask one favor. Of God we ask one favor. That we may be forgiven. For what, he is presumed to know. The crime, from us, is hidden. Immured the whole of life. Within a magic prison. We reprimand the happiness. That too competes with heaven. 1602, pursuing you in your transitions. Pursuing you in your transitions. In other motes. Of other myths. Your requisition be, the prism never held the hues, it only heard them play. 1603. The going from a world we know. The going from a world we know. To one a wonder still. Is like the child's adversity. Whose vista is a hill. Behind the hill is sorcery. And everything unknown. But will the secret compensate for climbing it alone? 1604, we send the wave to find the wave, we send the wave to find the wave, an errand so divine, the messenger enamored too, forgetting to return, we make the wise distinction still, soever made in vain. The sage's time to damn the sea is when the sea is gone. 1605, each that we lose takes part of us. Each that we lose takes part of us. A crescent still abides. Which like the moon, some turbid night, is summoned by the tides. 1606, quite empty, quite at rest. Quite empty, quite at rest. The robin locks her nest, and tries her wings, she does not know a route but puts her craft about for rumored springs, she does not ask for noon, she does not ask for boon. Crumbless and homeless, of but one request, the bird she lost. 1607, within that little hive such hints of honey lay as made reality a dream and dreams, reality. 1608, the ecstasy to guess. The ecstasy to guess. Were a receded bliss. If grace could talk. 1609, sunset that screens, reveals. Sunset that screens, reveals. Enhancing what we see. By menaces of amethyst. And motes of mystery. 1610, morning that comes but once. Morning that comes but once. Considers coming twice. Two dawns upon a single morn. Make life a sudden price. 1611, their dappled importunity disparage or dismiss, the obloquies of etiquette are obsolete to bliss. 1612, the auctioneer of parting his, going, gone, shouts even from the crucifix and brings his hammer down, he only sells the wilderness, the prices of despair range from a single human heart to two, not any more. 1613, not sickness stains the brave, nor any dart, nor doubt of scene to come but an adjourning heart. 1614, parting with thee reluctantly, that we have never met, a heart sometimes a foreigner remembers it forgot. 1615, oh what a grace is this! Oh what a grace is this! What majesties of peace! That having breathed the fine, ensuing right, without diminuet proceed. 1616, who abdicated ambush. Who abdicated ambush. And went the way of dusk. And now against his subtle name there stands an asterisk. As confident of him as we. Impregnable we are. The whole of immortality secreted in a star. 1617. To try to speak, and miss the way. To try to speak, and miss the way. And ask it of the tears. Is gratitude sweet poverty? The tatters that he wears. A better coat if he possessed. Would help him to conceal. Not subjugate. The mutineer. Whose title is, the soul. 1618, there are two mays. There are two mays. And then a must. And after that a shall. How infinite the compromise. That indicates I will. 1619, not knowing when the dawn will come, not knowing when the dawn will come, I open every door, or has it feathers, like a bird, or billows, like a shore. 1620, circumference thou bride of awe, circumference thou bride of awe, possessing thou shalt be possessed by every hallowed night that dares to covet thee. 1621, a flower will not trouble her, it has so small a foot, a flower will not trouble her, it has so small a foot, and yet if you compare the lasts, hers is the smallest boot. 1622, a sloop of amber slips away, a sloop of amber slips away upon an ether sea, and wrecks in peace a purple tar, the son of ecstasy. 1623, a world made penniless by that departure, a world made penniless by that departure of minor fabrics begs, but sustenance is of the spirit the gods but dregs. 1624, apparently with no surprise. Apparently with no surprise. To any happy flower. The frost beheads it at its play. In accidental power. The blonde assassin passes on. The sun proceeds unmoved. To measure off another day. For an approving God. 1625, back from the cordial grave I drag thee, back from the cordial grave I drag thee, he shall not take thy hand nor put his spacious arm around thee that none can understand. 1626, no life can pompless pass away. No life can pompless pass away. The lowliest career. To the same pageant wends its way. As that exalted here. How cordial is the mystery. The hospitable Paul. This way beckons spaciously. A miracle for all. 1627, the pedigree of honey. The pedigree of honey. Does not concern the bee. A clover, any time, to him. Is aristocracy. 1628, a drunkard cannot meet a cork, a drunkard cannot meet a cork without a reverie, and so encountering a fly this January day, Jamaicas of remembrance stir that send me reeling in, the moderate drinker of delight does not deserve the spring. Of juleps, part are in the jug and more are in the joy, your connoisseur in liquors consults the bumblebee. 1629, arrows enamored of his heart, arrows enamored of his heart, forgot to rankle there in venoms he mistook for bombs, disdained to rankle there. 1630, as from the earth the light balloon. As from the earth the light balloon. Asks nothing but release. Ascension that for which it was. Its soaring residence. The spirit looks upon the dust. That fastened it so long. With indignation. As a bird. Defrauded of its song. 1631, O future. Thou secreted peace. O future. Thou secreted peace or subterranean woe, is there no wandering route of grace that leads away from thee, no circuit sage of all the course descried by cunning mental balk thee of thy sacred prey? Advancing to thy den. 1632, so give me back to death, so give me back to death, the death I never feared except that it deprived of thee, and now, by life deprived, in my own grave I breathe and estimate its size is all that hell can guess. And all that heaven was. 1633. Still own thee, still thou art. Still own thee, still thou art. What surgeons call alive. Though slipping, slipping I perceive. To thy reportless grave. Which question shall I clutch? What answer wrest from thee? Before thou dost exude away. In the recallless sea. 1634. Talk not to me of summer trees, talk not to me of summer trees. The foliage of the Minda tabernacle is for birds of no corporeal kind, and winds do go that way at noon to their ethereal homes, whose bugles call the least of us to undepicted realms. 1635. The jay his castanet has struck, the jay his castanet has struck. Put on your muff for winter. The tippet that ignores his voice is impudent to nature of swarthy days. He is the close, his lotus is a chestnut. The cricket drops a sable line. No more from yours at present. 1636. The sun in raining to the west, the sun in raining to the west makes not as much of sound as cart of man in road below, adroitly turning round that whiffletree of amethyst. 1637. Is it too late to touch you, dear? Is it too late to touch you, dear? We this moment knew, love marine and love terrene, love celestial too. 1638. Go thy great way. Go thy great way. The stars thou meet'st are even as thyself. For what are stars but asterisks? To point a human life. 1639. A letter is a joy of earth, a letter is a joy of earth, it is denied the gods. 1640. Take all away from me, but leave me ecstasy, take all away from me, but leave me ecstasy, and I am richer than all my fellow men. Ill it becometh me to dwell so wealthily when at my very door are those possessing more in abject poverty. 1641. Betrothed to righteousness might be, betrothed to righteousness might be in ecstasy discreet, but nature relishes the pinks which she was taught to eat. 1642. Red Sea, indeed. Talk not to me. Red Sea, indeed. Talk not to me. Of purple Pharaoh. I have a navy in the west. Would pierce his columns through. Guileless, yet of such glory fine. That all along the line. Is it, or is it not? Divine. The eye inquires with a sigh. That earth sh'd be so big. What exultation in the woe. What wine in the fatigue. 1643. Extol thee, could I. Then I will. Extol thee, could I. Then I will. By saying nothing new. But just the truest truth. That thou art heavenly, perceiving thee is evidence that we are of the sky, partaking thee a guarantee of immortality. 1644. Someone prepared this mighty show. Someone prepared this mighty show. To which without a ticket go. The nations and the days. Displayed before the simplest door. That all may witness it and more. The pomp of summer days. 1645. The ditch is dear to the drunken man. The ditch is dear to the drunken man. For is it not his bed? His advocate, his edifice? How safe his fallen head? In her dishevelled sanctity. Above him is the sky. Oblivion bending over him. And honor leagues away. 1646. Why should we hurry, why indeed? Why should we hurry, why indeed? When every way we fly, we are molested equally. By immortality. No respite from the inference that this which is begun, though where its labors lie a bland uncertainty, besets the sight this mighty night. 1647. Of glory not a beam is left, of glory not a beam is left, but her eternal house. The asterisk is for the dead, the living, for the stars. 1648. The immortality she gave we borrowed at her grave, for just one plaudit famishing, the might of human love. 1649. A cap of lead across the sky. A cap of lead across the sky. Was tight and surly drawn. We could not find the mighty face. The figure was withdrawn. A chill came up as from a shaft. Our noon became a well. A thunderstorm combines the charms. of winter and of hell. 1650, a lane of yellow led the eye unto a purple wood whose soft inhabitants to be surpasses solitude if bird the silence contradict or flower presume to showen that low summer of the west impossible to know. 1651. A word made flesh is seldom. A word made flesh is seldom. And tremblingly partook. Nor then perhaps reported. But have I not mistook? Each one of us has tasted, with ecstasies of stealth, the very food debated, to our specific strength. A word that breathes distinctly, has not the power to die, cohesive as the spirit. It may expire if he, made flesh and dwelt among us. Could condescension be like this consent of language, this loved philology? 1652, advance is life's condition. Advance is life's condition, the grave but a relay supposed to be a terminus that makes it hated so, the tunnel is not lighted existence with a Wallace better we consider than not exist at all. 1653, as we pass houses musing slow if they be occupied so minds pass minds if they be occupied. 1654, beauty crowds me till I die beauty mercy have on me but if I expire today let it be in sight of thee. 1655, conferring with myself my stranger disappeared though first upon a berry fat miraculously fared how paltry looked my cares my practice how absurd superfluous my whole career beside this travelling bird. 1656, down time's quaint stream without an oar we are enforced to sail our port a secret our perchance a gale what skipper would incur the risk what buccaneer would ride without a surety from the wind or schedule of the tide. 1657, Eden is that old-fashioned house. Eden is that old-fashioned house we dwell in every day, without suspecting our abode, until we drive away. How fair on looking back, the day we sauntered from the door, unconscious our returning, but discover it no more. 1658, endanger it, and the demand. Endanger it, and the demand of tickets for a sigh amazes the humility of credibility. Recover it to nature, and that dejected fleet find consternation's carnival divested of its meat. 1659, fame is a fickle food. Fame is a fickle food upon a shifting plate, whose table once a guest but not the second time is set, whose crumbs the crows inspect, and with ironic caw flap past it to the farmer's corn. Men eat of it and die. 1660, glory is that bright tragic thing that for an instant means dominion, warms some poor name that never felt the sun, gently replacing in oblivion. 1661, guest am I to have light my northern room why to cordiality so averse to come other friends adjourn other bonds decay why avoid so narrowly my fidelity. 1662, he went by sleep that drowsy route to the surmising in, at daybreak to begin his race or ever to remain. 1663, his mind of man, a secret makes his mind of man, a secret makes I meet him with a start he carries a circumference in which I have no part, or even if I deem I do he otherwise may know impregnable to inquest however neighborly. 1664, I did not reach thee. But my feet slip nearer every day. 3 rivers and a hill to cross. 1 desert and a sea. I shall not count the journey one, when I am telling thee. 2 deserts, but the year is cold, so that will help the sand. 1 desert crossed. The second one will feel as cool as land. Sahara is too little price to pay for thy right hand. The sea comes last, step merry, feet. So short we have to go. To play together we are prone. But we must labor now. The last shall be the lightest load that we have had to draw. The sun goes crooked. That is night. Before he makes the bend. We must have passed the middle sea. Almost we wish the end. We're further off. Too great it seems. So near the hole to stand. We step like plush. We stand like snow. The waters murmur new. 3 rivers and the hill are past. 2 deserts and the sea. Now death usurps my premium. And gets the look at thee. 1665, I know of people in the grave. I know of people in the grave. Who would be very glad to know the news I know tonight. If they the chance had had. 'Tis this expands the least event. And swells the scantest deed. My right to walk upon the earth. If they this moment had. 1666. I see thee clearer for the grave. I see thee clearer for the grave. That took thy face between. No mirror could illumine thee. Like that impassive stone. I know thee better for the act. That made thee first unknown. The stature of the empty nest. Attests the bird that's gone. 1667. I watch her face to see which way. I watched her face to see which way. She took the awful news. Whether she died before she heard. Or in protracted bruise. Remained a few slow years with us. Each heavier than the last. A further afternoon to fail. As flower at fall of frost. 1668, if I could tell how glad I was. If I could tell how glad I was. I should not be so glad. But when I cannot make the force. Nor mold it into word. I know it is a sign. That new dilemma be. From mathematics further off. Than for eternity. 1669, in snow thou comest. In snow thou comest. Thou shalt go with the resuming ground. The sweet derision of the crow. And glee's advancing sound. In fear thou comest. Thou shalt go at such a gait of joy. That man anew embarked to live. Upon the depth of thee. 1670, in winter in my room. In winter in my room. I came upon a worm. Pink, lank and warm. But as he was a worm. And worms presume. Not quite with him at home. Secured him by a string. To something neighboring. And went along. A trifle afterward. A thing occurred. I'd not believe it if I heard. But state with creeping blood. A snake with models rare. Surveyed my chamber floor. In feature as the worm before. But ringed with power. The very string with which. I tied him, too. When he was mean and new. That string was there. I shrank, how fair you are. Propitiation's claw. Afraid, he hissed. Of me? No cordiality. He fathomed me. Then to a rhythm slim. Secreted in his form. As patterns swim. Projected him. That time I flew. Both eyes his way. Lest he pursue. Nor ever ceased to run. Till in a distant town. Towns on from mine. I set me down. This was a dream. 1671, judgment is justest. Judgment is justest. When the judged. His action laid away. Divested is of every disc. But his sincerity. Honor is then the safest hue. In a posthumous sun. Not any color will endure. That scrutiny can burn. 1672, lightly stepped a yellow star. Lightly stepped a yellow star. To its lofty place. Loosed the moon her silver hat. From her lustral face. All of evening softly lit. As an astral hall. Father, I observe to heaven. You are punctual. 1673, nature can do no more, nature can do no more, she has fulfilled her dyes, whatever flower fail to come of other summer days, her crescent reimburse if other summers be, nature's imposing negative nulls opportunity. 1674, not any sunny tone, not any sunny tone from any fervent zone find entrance there, better a grave of balm toward human nature's home, and robins near, than a stupendous tomb proclaiming to the gloom how dead we are. 1675, of this is day composed. Of this is day composed. A morning and a noon. A revelry unspeakable. And then a gay unknown. Whose pomps allure and spurn. And dower and deprive. And penury for glory. Remedilessly leave. 1676, of yellow was the outer sky. Of yellow was the outer sky. In yellow a yellow hewn. Till saffron in vermilion slid. Whose seam could not be shown. 1677. On my volcano grows the grass. On my volcano grows the grass. A meditative spot. An acre for a bird to choose. Would be the general thought. How red the fire rocks below. How insecure the sod. Did I disclose? Would populate with all my solitude. 1678, peril as a possession. Peril as a possession. 'Tis good to hear. Danger disintegrates satiety. There's basis there. Begets an awe. That searches human nature's creases. As clean as fire. 1679, rather arid delight if contentment accrue make an abstemious ecstasy not so good as joy, but rapture's expense must not be incurred with a tomorrow knocking and the rent unpaid. 1680, sometimes with the heart. Sometimes with the heart. Seldom with the soul. Scarcer once with the might. Few, love at all. 1681, speech is one symptom of affection. Speech is one symptom of affection. And silence one. The perfectest communication. Is heard of none. Exists and its endorsement. Is had within. Behold, said the apostle. Yet had not seen. 1682. Summer begins to have the look. Summer begins to have the look. Peruser of enchanting book. Reluctantly but sure perceives. Again upon the backward leaves. Autumn begins to be inferred. By millinery of the cloud. Or deeper color in the shawl. That wraps the everlasting hill. The eye begins its avarice. A meditation chastens speech. Some dyer of a distant tree. Resumes his gaudy industry. Conclusion is the course of all. At most to be perennial. And then eludes stability. Recalls to immortality. 1683, that she forgot me was the least. That she forgot me was the least. I felt its second pain. That I was worthy to forget. Was most I thought upon. Faithful was all that I could boast. But constancy became. To her, by her innominate. A something like a shame. 1684, the blunder is in estimate. The blunder is in estimate. Eternity is there. We say, as of a station. Meanwhile he is so near. He joins me in my ramble. Divides abode with me. No friend have I that so persists. As this eternity. 1685, the butterfly obtains but little sympathy though favorably mentioned in entomology, because he travels freely and wears a proper coat the circumspect are certain that he is dissolute, had he the homely scutcheon. Of modest industry 'twere fitter certifying for immortality. 1686, the event was directly behind him. The event was directly behind him. Yet he did not guess. Fitted itself to himself like a robe. Relished his ignorance. Motioned itself to drill. Loaded and leveled. And let his flesh. Centuries from his soul. 1687, the gleam of an heroic act. The gleam of an heroic act. Such strange illumination. The possible slow fuse is lit. By the imagination. 1688, the hills erect their purple heads. The hills erect their purple heads. The rivers lean to sea. Yet man has not of all the throng a curiosity. 1689, the look of thee, what is it like? The look of thee, what is it like? Hast thou a hand or foot? Or mansion of identity? And what is thy pursuit? Thy fellows, are they realms or themes? Hast thou delight or fear? Or longing, and is that for us? Or values more severe? Let change transfuse all other traits. Enact all other blame. But deign this least certificate. That thou shalt be the same. 1690. The ones that disappeared are back. The ones that disappeared are back. The phoebe and the crow. Precisely as in March is heard. The curtness of the jay. Be this an autumn or a spring. My wisdom loses way. One side of me the nuts are ripe. The other side is May. 1691, the overtakelessness of those. The overtakelessness of those who have accomplished death. Majestic is to me beyond the majesties of earth. The soul her not at home inscribes upon the flesh, and takes her fair aerial gait beyond the hope of touch. 1692. The right to perish might be thought. The right to perish might be thought an undisputed right. Attempt it. And the universe, upon the opposite, will concentrate its officers. You cannot even die. But nature and mankind must pause to pay you scrutiny. 1693. The sun retired to a cloud. The sun retired to a cloud. A woman's shawl as big. And then he sulked in Mercury. Upon a scarlet log. The drops on nature's forehead stood. Home flew the loaded bees. The south unrolled a purple fan. And handed to the trees. 1694. The wind drew off. The wind drew off. Like hungry dogs. Defeated of a bone. Through fissures in volcanic cloud. The yellow lightning shone. The trees held up their mangled limbs. Like animals in pain. When nature falls upon herself. Beware an Austrian. 1695, there is a solitude of space. There is a solitude of space. A solitude of sea. A solitude of death, but these society shall be compared with that profounder sight. That polar privacy. A soul admitted to itself. Finite infinity. 1696, these are the days that reindeer love. These are the days that reindeer love. And pranks the northern star. This is the sun's objective. And Finland of the year. 1697. They talk as slow as legends grow. They talk as slow as legends grow. No mushroom is their mind. But foliage of sterility. Too stolid for the wind. They laugh as wise as plots of wit. Predestined to unfold. The point with bland provision. Portentously untold. 1698, 'tis easier to pity those when dead. 'Tis easier to pity those when dead. That which pity previous would have saved. A tragedy enacted secures applause. That tragedy enacting too seldom does. 1699, to do a magnanimous thing, to do a magnanimous thing and take oneself by surprise if oneself is not in the habit of him is precisely the finest of joys, not to do a magnanimous thing notwithstanding it never be known. Notwithstanding it cost us existence once is rapture herself spurn. 1700, to tell the beauty would decrease, to tell the beauty would decrease, to state the spell demean, there is a syllable sc of which it is the sign, my will endeavors for its word and fails, but entertains a rapture as of legacies. Of introspective minds. 1701, to their apartment deep, to their apartment deep, no ribaldry may creep untumbled this abode by any man but God. 1702, today or this noon. Today or this noon. She dwelt so close. I almost touched her. Tonight she lies. Past neighborhood. And bough and steeple. Now past surmise. 1703. 'Twas comfort in her dying room. 'Twas comfort in her dying room. To hear the living clock. A short relief to have the wind. Walk boldly up and knock. Diversion from the dying theme. To hear the children play. But wrong the more. That these could. Live. And this of ours must die. 1704, unto a broken heart. Unto a broken heart. No other one may go. Without the high prerogative. Itself hath suffered too. 1705, volcanoes be in Sicily. Volcanoes be in Sicily. And South America. I judge from my geography. Volcanoes nearer here. A lava step at any time. Am I inclined to climb? A crater I may contemplate. Vesuvius at home. 1706, when we have ceased to care, when we have ceased to care, the gift is given for which we gave the earth and mortgaged heaven, but so declined in worth 'tis ignominy now to look upon. 1707, winter under cultivation. Winter under cultivation. Is as arable as spring. 1708, witchcraft has not a pedigree, witchcraft has not a pedigree, 'tis early as our breath and mourners meet it going out the moment of our death. 1709, with sweetness unabated informed the hour had come with no remiss of triumph, the autumn started home her home to be with nature as competition done by influential kinsmen invited to return, in supplements of purple. An adequate repast in heavenly reviewing her residue be passed. 1710, a curious cloud surprised the sky. A curious cloud surprised the sky. 'Twas like a sheet with horns. The sheet was blue. The antlers grey. It almost touched the lawns. So low it leaned, then statelier drew. And trailed like robes away. A queen adown a satin aisle. Had not the majesty. 1711, a face devoid of love or grace. A face devoid of love or grace. A hateful, hard, successful face. A face with which a stone would feel as thoroughly at ease as were they old acquaintances, first time together thrown. 1712, a pit, but heaven over it. A pit, but heaven over it. And heaven beside, and heaven abroad. And yet a pit. With heaven over it. To stir would be to slip. To look would be to drop. To dream, to sap the prop. That holds my chances up. Ah! Pit! With heaven over it. The depth is all my thought. I dare not ask my feet. 'Twould start us where we sit. So straight you'd scarce suspect. It was a pit, with fathoms under it. Its circuit just the same. Seed, summer, tomb. Who's doomed to whom? 1713, as subtle as tomorrow. As subtle as tomorrow. That never came. A warrant, a conviction. Yet but a name. 1714, by a departing light. By a departing light. We see acuter, quite. Then by a wick that stays. There's something in the flight. That clarifies the sight. And decks the rays. 1715, consulting summer's clock. Consulting summer's clock. But half the hours remain. I ascertain it with a shock. I shall not look again. The second half of joy. is shorter than the first. The truth I do not dare to know. I muffle with a jest. 1716, death is like the insect. Death is like the insect. Menacing the tree. Competent to kill it. But decoyed may be. Bait it with the balsam. Seek it with the saw. Baffle, if it cost you everything you are. Then, if it have burrowed out of reach of skill, wring the tree and leave it. 'Tis the vermin's will. 1717, did life's penurious length. Did life's penurious length italicize its sweetness. The men that daily live would stand so deep in joy that it would clog the cogs of that revolving reason, whose esoteric belt protects our sanity. 1718. Drowning is not so pitiful. Drowning is not so pitiful as the attempt to rise. 3 times, 'tis said, a sinking man comes up to face the skies, and then declines forever to that abhorred abode, where hope and he part company. For he is grasped of God, the Maker's cordial visage, however good to see, is shunned, we must admit it, like an adversity. 1719, God is indeed a jealous God. God is indeed a jealous God. He cannot bear to see that we had rather not with him, but with each other play. 1720, had I known that the first was the last. Had I known that the first was the last, I should have kept it longer. Had I known that the last was the first, I should have drunk it stronger. Cup, it was your fault. Lip was not the liar. No, lip, it was yours. Bliss was most to blame. 1721, he was my host, he was my guest. He was my host, he was my guest. I never to this day, if I invited him, could tell, or he invited me. So infinite our intercourse. So intimate, indeed. Analysis as capsule seemed to keeper of the seed. 1722, her face was in a bed of hair. Her face was in a bed of hair, like flowers in a plot. Her hand was whiter than the spurn that feeds the sacred light. Her tongue more tender than the tune that totters in the leaves. Who hears may be incredulous. Who witnesses, believes. 1723, high from the earth I heard a bird. High from the earth I heard a bird. He trod upon the trees, as he esteemed them trifles. And then he spied a breeze, and situated softly upon a pile of wind, which in a perturbation nature had left behind. A joyous going fellow, I gathered from his talk, which both of benediction and badinage partook, without apparent burden. I subsequently learned he was the faithful father of a dependent brood, and this untoward transport his remedy for care. A contrast to our respites. How different we are. 1724, how dare the robin sing? How dare the robin sing? When men and women hear, who since they went to their account, have settled with the year, paid all that life had earned, in one consummate bill. And now, what life or death can do, is immaterial. Insulting is the sun, to him whose mortal light, beguiled of immortality, bequeaths him to the night. Extinct be every hum, in deference to him, whose garden wrestles with the dew, at daybreak overcome. 1725, I took one draught of life. I took one draught of life. I'll tell you what I paid. Precisely in existence. The market price, they said. They weighed me, dust by dust. They balanced film with film. Then handed me my being's worth. A single dram of heaven. 1726, if all the griefs I am to have. If all the griefs I am to have would only come today. I am so happy I believe they'd laugh and run away. If all the joys I am to have would only come today. They could not be so big as this. That happens to me now. 1727. If ever the lid gets off my head. If ever the lid gets off my head. And lets the brain away. The fellow will go where he belonged. Without a hint from me. And the world, if the world be looking on, will see how far from home it is possible for sense to live. The soul there, all the time. 1728, is immortality a bane? Is immortality a bane? That men are so oppressed. 1729, I've got an arrow here. I've got an arrow here. Loving the hand that sent it. I the dart revere. Fell, they will say, in skirmish. Vanquished, my soul will know. By but a simple arrow. Sped by an archer's bow. 1730, Lethe, in my flower. Lethe, in my flower. Of which they who drink. In the fadeless orchards. Hear the bobolink. Merely flake or petal. As the eye beholds. Jupiter. My father. I perceive the rose. 1731. Love can do all but raise the dead. Love can do all but raise the dead. I doubt if even that. From such a giant were withheld. Were flesh equivalent. But love is tired and must sleep. And hungry and must graze. And so abets the shining fleet. Till it is out of gaze. 1732, my life closed twice before its close. My life closed twice before its close. It yet remains to see. If immortality unveil. A third event to me. So huge, so hopeless to conceive. As these that twice befell. Parting is all we know of heaven. And all we need of hell. 1733, no man saw awe, nor to his house. No man saw awe, nor to his house. Admitted he a man. Though by his awful residence. Has human nature been. Not deeming of his dread abode. Till laboring to flee. A grasp on comprehension laid. Detained vitality. Returning is a different route. The spirit could not show. For breathing is the only work. To be enacted now. I am not consumed, old Moses wrote. Yet saw him face to face. That very physiognomy. I am convinced was this. 1734, oh, honey of an hour. Oh, honey of an hour. I never knew thy power. Prohibit me. Till my minutest dower. My unfrequented flower. Deserving be. 1735, one crown that no one seeks. One crown that no one seeks. And yet the highest head. Its isolation coveted. Its stigma deified. While Pontius Pilate lives. In whatsoever hell. That coronation pierces him. He recollects it well. 1736. Proud of my broken heart, since thou didst break it. Proud of my broken heart, since thou didst break it. Proud of the pain I did not feel till thee. Proud of my night, since thou with moons dost slake it. Not to partake thy passion. My humility. Thou canst not boast, like Jesus, drunken without companion. Was the strong cup of anguish brewed for the Nazarene. Thou canst not pierce tradition with the peerless puncture. See. I usurped thy crucifix to honor mine. 1737, rearrange a wife's affection. Rearrange a wife's affection. When they dislocate my brain. Amputate my freckled bosom. Make me bearded like a man. Blush, my spirit, in thy fastness. Blush, my unacknowledged clay. 7 years of troth have taught thee more than wifehood every May. Love that never leaped its socket. Trust entrenched in narrow pain. Constancy through the fire, awarded. Anguish, bare of anodyne. Burden, borne so far triumphant. None suspect me of the crown. For I wear the thorns till sunset. Then, my diadem put on. Big my secret but it's bandaged. It will never get away. Till the day its weary keeper leads it through the grave to thee. 1738, softened by time's consummate plush. Softened by time's consummate plush. How sleek the woe appears. That threatened childhood citadel. And undermined the years. Bisected now, by bleaker griefs. We envy the despair. That devastated childhood's realm. So easy to repair. 1739. Some say good night, at night. Some say good night, at night. I say good night by day. Goodbye, the going utter me. Good night, I still reply. For parting, that is night. And presence, simply dawn. Itself. The purple on the height. Denominated morn. 1740, sweet is the swamp with its secrets. Sweet is the swamp with its secrets. Until we meet a snake. 'Tis then we sigh for houses. And our departure take. At that enthralling gallop. That only childhood knows. A snake is summer's treason. And guile is where it goes. 1741, that it will never come again. That it will never come again. Is what makes life so sweet. Believing what we don't believe. Does not exhilarate. That if it be at best. An ablative estate. This instigates an appetite. Precisely opposite. 1742, the distance that the dead have gone. The distance that the dead have gone. Does not at first appear. Their coming back seems possible. For many an ardent year. And then, that we have followed them. We more than half suspect. So intimate have we become. With their dear retrospect. 1743, the grave my little cottage is. The grave my little cottage is. Where, keeping house, for thee. I make my parlor orderly. And lay the marble tea. For two divided, briefly. A cycle, it may be. Till everlasting life unite. In strong society. 1744, the joy that has no stem no core. The joy that has no stem no core. Nor seed that we can sow. Is edible to longing. But ablative to show. By fundamental palates. Those products are preferred. Impregnable to transit. And patented by pod. 1745, the mob within the heart. The mob within the heart. Police cannot suppress. The riot given at the first. Is authorized as peace. Uncertified of scene. Or signified of sound. But growing like a hurricane. In a congenial ground. 1746, the most important population. The most important population. Unnoticed dwell. They have a heaven each instant. Not any hell. Their names, unless you know them. 'Twere useless tell. Of bumblebees and other nations. The grass is full. 1747, the parasol is the umbrella's daughter. The parasol is the umbrella's daughter. And associates with a fan. While her father abuts the tempest. And abridges the rain. The former assists a siren. In her serene display. But her father is born and honored. And borrowed to this day. 1748, the reticent volcano keeps. The reticent volcano keeps. His never slumbering plan. Confided are his projects pink. To no precarious man. If nature will not tell the tale, Jehovah told to her. Can human nature not survive without a listener? Admonished by her buckled lips. Let every babbler be. The only secret people keep is immortality. 1749. The waters chased him as he fled. The waters chased him as he fled. Not daring look behind. A billow whispered in his ear. Come home with me, my friend. My parlor is of shriven glass. My pantry has a fish for every palate in the year. To this revolting bliss, the object floating at his side made no distinct reply. 1750. The words the happy say, the words the happy say are paltry melody, but those the silent feel are beautiful. 1751. There comes an hour when begging stops. There comes an hour when begging stops. When the long interceding lips perceive their prayer is vain. Thou shalt not is a kinder sword than from a disappointing God. Disciple, call again. 1752. This docile one enter. This docile one enter. While we who dare to live arraign the sunny brevity that sparkled to the grave. On her departing span no wilderness remain as dauntless in the house of death as if it were her own. 1753. Through those old grounds of memory. Through those old grounds of memory. The sauntering alone is a divine intemperance. A prudent man would shun of liquors that are vended. 'Tis easy to beware. But statutes do not meddle with the internal bar. Pernicious as the sunset. Permitting to pursue, but impotent to gather. The tranquil perfidy alloys our firmer moments with that severest gold, convenient to the longing, but otherwise withheld. 1754. To lose thee, sweeter than to gain. To lose thee, sweeter than to gain. All other hearts I knew. 'Tis true the drought is destitute. But then, I had the dew. The Caspian has its realms of sand. Its other realm of sea. Without the sterile perquisite, no Caspian could be. 1755. To make a prairie it takes a clover and one bee. To make a prairie it takes a clover and one bee. One clover, and a bee. And reverie. The reverie alone will do, if bees are few. 1756. 'Twas here my summer paused. 'Twas here my summer paused. What ripeness after then? To other scene or other soul. My sentence had begun. To winter to remove. With winter to abide. Go manacle your icicle against your tropic bride. 1757. Upon the gallows hung a wretch. Upon the gallows hung a wretch. Too sullied for the hell to which the law entitled him. As nature's curtain fell, the one who bore him tottered in. For this was woman's son. 'Twere all I had, she stricken gasped. Oh, what a livid boon. 1758. Where every bird is bold to go. Where every bird is bold to go. And bees a bashless play. The foreigner before he knocks must thrust the tears away. 1759. Which misses most? Which misses most? The hand that tends, or heart so gently borne? 'Tis twice as heavy as it was, because the hand is gone. Which blesses most? The lip that can, or that went to sleep? With, if I could, endeavoring, without the strength to shape. 1760. Elysium is as far as to Elysium is as far as to the very nearest room, if in that room a friend await felicity or doom. What fortitude the soul contains that it can so endure the accent of a coming foot, the opening of a door. 1761. A train went through a burial gate. A train went through a burial gate. A bird broke forth and sang. And trilled, and quivered, and shook his throat. Till all the churchyard rang. And then adjusted his little notes. And bowed and sang again. Doubtless, he thought it meet of him to say goodbye to men. 1762, Were natural mortal lady. Were natural mortal lady. Who had so little time to pack her trunk and order the great exchange of clime. How rapid, how momentous. What exigencies were. But nature will be ready. And have an hour to spare. To make some trifle fairer. That was too fair before. Enchanting by remaining. And by departure more. 1763, Fame is a bee. Fame is a bee. It has a song. It has a sting. Ah, too, it has a wing. 1764, The saddest noise, the sweetest noise. The saddest noise, the sweetest noise. The maddest noise that grows. The birds, they make it in the spring. At night's delicious close. Between the March and April line. That magical frontier. Beyond which summer hesitates. Almost too heavenly near. It makes us think of all the dead. That sauntered with us here. By separation sorcery. Made cruelly more dear. It makes us think of what we had. And what we now deplore. We almost wish those siren throats would go and sing no more. An ear can break a human heart as quickly as a spear. We wish the ear had not a heart so dangerously near. 1765, That love is all there is. That love is all there is. Is all we know of love. It is enough, the freight should be proportion to the groove. 1766, Those final creatures, who they are. Those final creatures, who they are. That faithful to the close. Administer her ecstasy. But just the summer knows. 1767, Sweet hours have perished here. Sweet hours have perished here. This is a mighty room. Within its precincts hopes have played. Now shadows in the tomb. 1768, Lad of Athens, faithful be lad of Athens, faithful Beto thyself and mystery, all the rest is perjury. 1769, The longest day that God appoints. The little notes shall go as fast as steam can take them. Our hearts already went. Would we could mail our faces for your dear encouragement. Remember the longest day that God appoints. We'll finish with the sun. Anguish can travel to its stake. And then it must return. 1770, Experiment escorts us last, experiment escorts us last, his pungent company will not allow an axiom an opportunity. 1771, How fleet, how indiscreet and one, my little devices to live till Monday would woo your sad attention, full of work and plots and little happinesses the thought of you protracts them all and makes them sham and cold. How fleet, how indiscreet and one, how always wrong is love, the joyful little deity we are not scourged to serve. 1772, Let me not thirst with this hawk at my lip, let me not thirst with this hawk at my lip nor beg, with domains in my pocket. 1773. The summer that we did not prize. The summer that we did not prize. Her treasures were so easy. Instructs us by departing now. And recognition lazy. Bestirs itself, puts on its coat. And scans with fatal promptness. For trains that moment out of sight. Unconscious of his smartness. 1774, Too happy time dissolves itself and leaves no remnant by dash, 'tis anguish not a feather hath her too much weight to fly. 1775, The earth has many keys. The earth has many keys. Where melody is not. Is the unknown peninsula. Beauty is nature's fact. But witness for her land. And witness for her sea. The cricket is her utmost. Of elegy to me.